Our today's topic is support and resistance. Support and resistance are areas where price react from. Support and resistance are areas where price react from. A support is an area where we expect buy to happen from. A support zone is an area where we expect buys to happen from. Now, I will explain this. It's not a straight line. It's not a straight line. It's an area. Alright? It's not a straight line. For instance, in an uptrend, this can be a support. You can mark it out like this is my support. Alright, but it is not a straight line. Sometimes your support might not get to the extreme, it might just tap in here and continue the trend. Or sometimes it might at least take this low a little bit before continuing the trend. That's why the support is not a straight line. It is an area. It is fragile. It is flexible. Alright? A support zone is an area where we expect buys to happen from. Meaning, with an area where when price get to that area, we expect to see a bullish momentum in that area. Alright? Whereby a resistance zone are areas we expect sales to happen from. Alright, so the visual representation of this will be this. You know, when we discuss candlesticks, we discuss the high, the lows. A resistance zone is formed around the highs. Around the highs. Alright, take it like you are in a box. Let's say your house, for instance. Your house. The floor of your house, this is your support. The floor of your house is your support. This is not working. The floor of your house is your support. The floor of your house is your support. And the roof of your house, or those of you that have ceiling POP, the roof of your house, that POP, that roof, that point whereby if you bounce an object, the object will hit before reversing lower. The roof of your house becomes your resistance. The floor of your house becomes your support. The roof of your house becomes your resistance. Alright, this is just like a graphical illustration of support and resistance. So when you bounce a ball on your floor, you expect the ball to bounce up. You don't expect it to break the floor. You expect it to bounce up. And when you throw a ball to your ceiling, you expect it to fall back down. All right. So what we expect as support is for price to hit the support zone, bounce up, hit the resistance, and so on. All right. Now that's that for support and resistance. Now, this is what actually matters. What actually matters is they are zones, not lines. Please remember this. Try not to forget this, all right? They are zones, not lines. A support is not a straight line. They are zones, an area where you expect price to buy from or to sell from. Not an exact lines. Not an exact line. I hope you are getting this. I hope I'm making sense. Now, the second thing to remember is they are formed from previous lows and previous highs. They are formed from previous lows What is a low? A low is basically a support. A low is basically a support, and high is basically resistance. That's why this your low right here, which is the floor of your house, it is a support. That is a low. The roof of your house is simply your resistance. That is an high. So when you throw something to the roof, you expect it to bounce and reverse the motion back down. When you throw something to the ground, you expect it to bounce up. All right? They are formed from previous lows and previous highs. They are not exact lines. Now, price does not respect them perfectly, just like this, perfect. No. It is not magic. Price does not respect these zones perfectly. Meaning, once price reaches there, you expect immediate movement. Sometimes it does, but most times it might not. Let's say we have a support zone right here. Let's say we have a support zone right here. This is a support zone, meaning an area where we expect buy to happen from. Now, when price gets to this area, most times it will not automatically just start moving. No. Sometimes it comes to the area, then reacts, rejects. When you see this rejection, this bullish rejection from that area, you understand this is a support and it's reacting from it or testing it. I hope you are getting it. I hope you are getting it, and I hope I'm making sense. Now, how do you identify support and resistance? How do you identify support and resistance levels? How do you identify your support levels and your resistance level? This is what we are going to discuss right now. All right? Your support and resistance levels are areas where price has previously reversed. Your support, I'm trying to write in cap so you get it. Your support, and let me just abbreviate the support. So when I say SP, I mean support. When I say ROS, I mean resistance. All right. Your support and resistance levels are areas where price reverse strongly. All right, this is same reasoning when I said the floor of your house. All right, now if you bounce something now at the floor of your house, it bounces up. All right, it has happened over and over again. That's why we come to the understanding that the floor of your house is support. Now, if on the chart you see maybe in an uptrend, price just maybe when price is moving on the chart, it just makes a sharp U-turn. Maybe the U-turn might be higher or even to go lower. Now, these areas now, after this U-turn, these areas where that sharp levels has reversed, like where price has reversed previously, that areas act as support. Now, if price use that area to reverse up, the extreme part, the lower part of that movement, that point of the reversal, yes, that point of the reversal becomes your support. Or if it reverse lower, that point of the reversal becomes your resistance. If it reverse lower, point of reversal becomes your resistance. If it reverse higher, the point of reversal becomes your support. Here you expect price to use for continuation in the nearest future. I hope you are getting this. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense. I'm just introducing you to this so that when we get to the advanced stuff, you will get it easily. Now, what are the things I need to know? What are other things I need to know to identify support and resistance level? Now, they are formed from previous highs and previous lows. That's what we discussed there, obviously, where price reversed. So if I still have to put it, they are formed from previous highs and previous lows. Still on how to identify. They are formed from previous high and previous lows. Now, remember I said price does not have to respect them perfectly. It tests and reacts. All right. So I don't want to talk too much about that. All right, because I know on our future discussions we are going to trash that. All right. So the next topic we are going to discuss under this support and resistance is the mistakes most traders make. The mistake I made initially while trading support and resistance. The mistake I make initially while trading support and resistance. Now, a support zone, you don't just automatically buy in a support zone. This is important, so let me write it out. Errors to avoid while trading support and resistance. Now, so it's just now you don't just buy because you have a support. All right, you just don't buy because you have a support zone. You wait for what they call confirmation, meaning other signal say this is going to be bullish, which we will discuss in our later class. A support zone is just an area where you expect price to happen from. It's just an area, not an indication. Not an indication. It is just an area where you expect price to happen from. Where you can say, price might buy from this area or price might sell from this area. You don't just press buy or sell except you have a confirmation. I hope you are getting it. At support zones, you look for buys with confirmation. You look for buys with confirmation. It is an area where you look for buys with confirmation. You just don't press buy immediately price gets to your support just because it's a support zone. No, you don't do that. You wait for your confirmation. Now, likewise, the resistance zone. Likewise, the resistance zone. You look for sales with confirmation. You don't go press sell because price is currently at your resistance zone and you want to sell. No, you wait for confirmation first before doing anything. It's just an area where you expect something to happen, reversal. So you wait for your confirmation before taking a side. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense. Now, what is the bottom line of all this? What is the bottom line of all this? What is the bottom line of this class, of this support and resistance class? What is the bottom line? Support and resistance tell you where something is likely to happen, not what will happen. S and arrow, which is support and resistance. Where did I should just support and resistance? They tell you where something is likely to happen. They tell you where something is likely to happen, not where something, not what will happen. You know, where something is likely to happen and what will happen are two different things. Not what will happen. They tell you where, not what. I want to make sure you understand this. They don't tell you what will happen. They don't tell you what will happen. They tell you where something is likely to happen, where a buy is likely to happen. They don't tell you a buy will definitely happen here. No. They tell you a buy is likely to happen here. It's just like using an illustration of a car, an accident. An accident, a car accident is likely to happen on the road. Now, there are several cars driving on the road without accidents, but there are traces you see in a car, and you can say, this car is likely to involve in an accident. Maybe shaky tires, steering not being stable. Those are the confirmation I'm talking about. But the road becomes your zone, an area where an accident is likely to happen. I hope you are getting it. I hope you are getting it. The supports are areas where reversals are likely to happen. They don't tell you what will definitely happen. They tell you where something is likely to happen. You do not trade the level, you trade the reaction. You don't trade the level. You don't just press buy or sell just because it's a support or a resistance. You don't trade the level, you trade the reaction. You don't trade the level. What you do is you trade the reaction. And we will talk about the reaction in our next conversations. How price react to give you, that is when we are talking about entries and edge. But I don't want to talk about that now. I hope you are getting it.